picks and bans phase, as I did say. I'm throwing out the picks, throwing out the bans with little hesitation immediately. Orb on the blue side and mTw on the purple side. Throwing an Ari, a Lee Sin, and a Blitzcrank because it does seem that Daydreaming is subbing in for mTw, which means no one wants to see a Blitzcrank play in this game, as well as Malphite, Karthus, and Urgot being banned out from the other side.
Yeah, you don't often see Blitzcrank banned. I see it in solo queue every now and then when people just don't want to deal with Blitzcrank. I don't really see it in tournaments that much, but as Tom said, it looks like that is a directed ban against mTw. And we do have the first pick now coming out. It's going to be Alistar. Of course, Alistar popular both as a support and as a jungler, so he makes for a very nice first pick because he can be played again in either one of those two roles. We'll have to see which role Orb wants to end up playing Alistar. Not exactly sure which role their team likes to lean towards, but again, it's a very nice first pick. And it's both one of the stronger supports and one of the stronger junglers. So mTw is up now for their picks, and it looks like they are going to go with Shen and Ezreal, assuming that they don't change over to anything else in the final 20 seconds here.
Yeah, but knowing these teams, they always love changing champions on us because they can never just make this job easy for us, so they can never do that. Alistar's one of those champions, like you said, he has a couple different roles he really fits into. He's been being seen a lot in the jungle recently, where he is extremely powerful, has extremely early ganks, very difficult champion to deal with, so we normally see him banned. Interestingly enough, mTw.NA doesn't think he's too much of a threat, but they might be paying for that one if High gets a hold of him in the jungle. But then, once again, mTw.NA switching their characters at the last couple seconds, going to lock in jungle, Nocturne, and AD carry, potentially AD carry Ezreal here, Salah.
Yeah, we would think it would be AD carry. It could, of course, also be AP Ezreal, though that's considered more of sort of a messing around kind of. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a troll build because you can have success with it, but we don't really see it that often. Still, overall the bans were pretty interesting, I thought, coming out from Orb. Ari, we do see Ari banned a lot. Lee Sin used to get banned all the time. We don't really see him banned that much anymore since he has taken quite a few nerfs over the last couple months. And he's still a very strong jungler, though, so that may also be a targeted ban against mTw. But we're just waiting for what they're going to pick here now. Sometimes the teams know exactly what they're going to pick, and they lock in immediately. Looks like Orb is taking their time here. They are indicating Ryze and Janna. Nope, going over to Graves right now. So let's see what they actually choose to lock in here. Graves Janna is a very strong bottom lane. We've seen it played a lot in tournament play. Graves and Janna both have gotten nerfs recently. Janna just seems to be getting nerfed over and over again, but people still seem to love Janna. There are just so many different things that her kit offers as a support. So it seems like Riot can't nerf her enough to get people to stop playing her. So we will see how that lane goes, and now it's back over to mTw for picks once again.
And the thing is with Graves and Janna, Orb's picking out their bottom lane, and you really can't counteract a bottom lane all too easily. So it's a very, very safe pick. They also were flirting around with the Ryze idea for the mid lane. He is also a very safe champion. As you mentioned all the time during champion select, Sulla, it's really up to who's going to be picking last and who's going to be trying to counterpick who. Snatching the Alistar right away and then going with a support character means that they know Alistar's in the jungle, and then after that, if you wind up picking a mid champion or a top champion way too early, they can really, really be punished by the opposing team's picks. So picking their bottom lane, very safe, kind of Graves, Janna, when they sit down there and farm. Of course, they have the little bit of aggression of Janna lands, very good crowd control with, say, a Howling Gale or her Zephyr. Graves can run in with a buckshot and quick draw and just make sure he deals all the damage possible. But mTw.NA going to respond the same way, picking up their support character. But after they saw the Ryze being flirted around with, it looks like they're going to go for a Cassiopeia pick here, Sulla.
Yeah, the thing is, as you mentioned with the counter picking, the top teams usually do like to counter pick. So because mTw has last pick, that means that Orb is going to have to show their hand here. It looks like mTw is more concerned about top lane than mid. They've left their last pick for that top lane. So they had to go ahead and pick their mid first. They picked Cassiopeia. We don't see Cass quite as much as we used to anymore, but she's still a very strong mid champ. And Orb looks like they're tipping their hand here on their last two lanes. It looks like they want to go with a double AP team comp, which is pretty standard with a lot of area of effect damage, AoE team comp here. If they stick with this Morgana and Vladimir picks here, be a very strong team comp. Again, the idea of just stacking that area of effect together. If they can get an Alistar initiate, be able to get in there and either headbutt pulverize or flash pulverize a couple people on the enemy on mTw, could have the ability to just stack Alistar stun with Morgana stun and Vlad ultimate and put a whole lot of hurting on mTw. So pretty nice team comp there, and we'll see. It looks like Orb might be going, or mTw might be going with Kale here for their last pick.
It's going to be a very, very good pick as well. Kale is known to be having a very, very good early game, and she can transition into a late game carry build as well. But Vladimir on the top lane is going to be one of those champions that has a hard time at the beginning stages of the game, but only gets more and more powerful as the game goes on. So if Kale can assert some sort of dominance over Vladimir in the beginning stages of the game, it's A, going to draw jungle attention to the top lane and away from anywhere else, and B, it's going to give her a little bit of advantage in that lane to help kind of counteract the Vladimir snowball. So very good pickup in that Kale pick, but still, going back to the Morgana and Vladimir, those are two champions you normally... Actually, there's three champions, or maybe even four champions on Orb's team right now, I would think to be banned out in most games. So it's a very devastating team composition they have over here. The Morgana in the mid lane, Vladimir in top lane, jungle Alistar, and sometimes we even see a support Janna being banned out by certain teams that just don't want to deal with her repositioning in team fights. You already talked about the AoE devastation they have right now. It's pretty much like the Nuts team over there.
That's right. A lot of these champs are indeed normally banned. In particular, we've seen Vlad banned a lot. We have, as you said, we see Janna banned pretty frequently. Nocturne over on mTw also seems to get banned. So it looks like we're going to have the Kale against Vlad matchup in top lane, which is kind of interesting. Both start out a little bit slow, but then will transition into mid game and get much stronger. That's a matchup that kind of can go either way. Vlad does have a little bit more sustain. Kale, though, has sort of more upfront raw damage, whereas Vlad is more damage over time. So that's kind of an interesting matchup because we have sort of a straight AD up against sort of a straight AP. And those are always kind of fun matchups to deal with. Morgana against Cassiopeia. Morg is kind of a counterpick to Cassiopeia here, just in the sense that Morgana can black shield herself, and then she can walk right through Cassiopeia poison. If Cass can't get that poison, it can't get that initial poison, then she's not going to be able to stack her Twin Fang and just keep dealing damage over and over again. So I feel as though Morgana is a bit of a counterpick, and then I feel as though Kale was picked by mTw as a bit of a counterpick to Vlad there. So I think that, going back to what you said earlier, Tom, I think that the teams are sort of looking at what the other team's running and then trying to pick champions that do well against what the other team has already grabbed once they've shown their hand.
And this is interestingly enough transferring into the bottom lane as well. They have a Janna and a Graves pick coming out first from Orb. Ezreal was picked up from mTw.NA as the first AD carry there, and then they supplemented it with a Soraka pick. Both teams have a very safe kind of support character to go with their AD. There's not going to be a lot of aggression. I could even see maybe Ezreal foregoing leveling up Essence Flux to level up the Mystic Shot first, so he has maybe some potential damage for Dragon engagements and things along those lines. There's not going to be a lot of action in this bottom lane. They both pick sustained supports. They both pick people that have a little bit of crowd control and can keep their AD carry safe, whereas it looks like with the aggressive junglers of Alistar and of course Nocturne, who can actually dictate basically the feel of a jungle pattern for the enemy team or for his own team on his own, they're going to be kind of more focused on the mid lane and the top lane. Like you said, both teams kind of trading off. Well, if you're going to take the Cassiopeia in the mid lane, we're going to go with Morgana, and they're going to say, well, now you pick Vladimir, we're going to go with Kale in the top lane. So both those lanes are going to have a lot of action, I think, whereas the bottom lane, we're not going to see much until, like I said, Dragon or Baron fights start.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Bottom lane definitely looks like a farming lane from what we've seen here. I know that that's not what people want to see. I know that we want to see action, we want to see exciting plays, but that's what they've picked here. Neither one of these lanes is a kill lane. We don't have a Taric or a Leona, and Alistar's going to be in the jungle. He's not going to be supporting. So these are safe defensive support choices, and that indicates to us that both teams are looking more to farm than anything else. Ezreal Soraka does have nice poke though, so potentially they could, in theory, mTw could poke down Graves and then look to make a play after that, but it is going to be a little bit difficult because Janna has a whole bunch of disengages. One thing I will point out though, that note that Janna doesn't have flash. She's running the exhaust heal as her summoners as opposed to flash exhaust, so that means a little bit more sort of burst heal potential there, but she doesn't have that escape, so that's one difference. One big difference there. And again, I do think a lot of it's going to come down to these junglers, really. I mean, we always talk about this when we do these broadcasts, but which one of these junglers can help snowball their lanes ahead? Alistar has much more ganking presence early. Nocturne needs to get to level 6, but once he hits 6, he'll become much stronger. So again, it really is going to come down to how these teams choose to play this, what lanes they choose to focus on. We think they're going to focus more on top and on mid than anywhere else. But, I mean, we'll have to see what they do. So hopefully this will be an exciting match for us here. And hopefully this will be a good one to watch, Tom.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm very much so looking forward to this match. Both of these teams are basically on the rise right now. mTw.NA had a little bit of a rough spot. They made some different acquisitions. Unfortunately, one of those, Muffin Cutie, is not on the team right now. They've actually subbed in Daydreaming for this match. And then Holy It's Dawn. We actually even talked about him. He was an acquisition about a couple days ago, maybe a week tops. And we saw him in a TSM Invitational doing a lot of work for mTw.NA. And they catapulted themselves to the finals against none other than Orbit. So it's actually a little bit of a grudge match, rematch for that one. Orbit took the series before. Are mTw.NA really going to come back into it? Or does Orbit really have mTw.NA's number? I mean, the only way we could figure it out is when this game starts, Sola.
That's right. When we, like you said, these aren't teams that are that well known, but they did do really well, as you said, in the Solo Mid Invitational last weekend. So they did a really nice job, and they're up and coming teams. Some of these players are very good players. If you watch the high elo streams, you'll see these guys on the high elo streams. They just haven't been on sort of a big team or a big name team. Now we do have, just in terms of the level ones, we always have to talk about strengths in level one. Orb has a really, really strong level one with Alistar and Morgana, so they're probably going to be looking to fight. But again, if somebody gets caught out, they might be in trouble. We actually see Orb's Neon, the Graves player, is off by himself. But again, Orb does have the stronger level one if they all group up together. But right now, they are separated and they are kind of spread out around the whole map.
Yeah, we did see Graves flirting with disaster a little bit, making sure that they were going to ward and not go for a full invade right there. He was able to get away, but at the same time, high on Alistar, almost had a pulverize onto Kale in the mid lane. So very dicey situations either way, but both teams want to play this one a little bit passively, potentially just getting information with those wards on both sides over by the enemy Wraith camps. They're just going to try to keep tabs of where the junglers are going, and if so, potentially have some counter jungling opportunities. But for now, everybody's just going to play it safe. Nocturne starting over here by his wolves. Alistar potentially starting over at his Wraiths. It's very interesting. Sometimes you'd see an Alistar going for his blue buff, just so he has the mana and cooldown reduction to sustain himself through a quicker jungle pattern. But this could potentially lead to some early aggression if he's going for a red Sulla.
That is unorthodox. Alistar almost always starts blue, but it looks like he's going to start red here. I believe he is spotted by the ward down here. Yeah, he is spotted by the ward that mTw put down. One other thing I'll point out here is Mandatory Cloud, the Cassiopeia mid player for mTw. Note has the 4 health pots. He started with 4, so he actually appears to be utility spec with the extra points in the extra starting gold, and that's pretty unusual for an AP mid player. But there's no other way he could. I don't think there's any other way he could start with the 4 health potions. So just one of those little oddities. So he must have some sort of unique Cassiopeia build that only works for him. So anyway, we'll have to keep an eye on what goes on here. The junglers have cleared their initial buffs. They're heading off the lanes, and we'll just have to see if there's any early ganks coming out from either side.
On top of this mid-champion Mandatory Cloud, we saw him putting a Poison Cloud down over at the enemy Wraiths. He stole the big Wraith, and he stole a little Wraith. So Alistar with 2 Wraiths not under his belt in gold, whereas Nocturne starting at his wolves. Cassiopeia stole the Wraiths, walked back, let the Poison do its thing, and then actually leashed the blue buff for her allied jungler. So a little bit of a minor victory in the early stages of this game. Like we said, not going to expect too much early aggression from, say, the bottom lane. Now the jungler's playing it safe. Probably not going to see something very, very weird, but we do see Nocturne going for that blue buff without Smite, and then going for a quick red buff. Could potentially be going for a gank in this top lane here, Sola.
Yeah, he was hanging around next Smithy. It looks like he might do the long route around. No, he's just going to head back to his double gums right here. Bottom, though, is very low. Graves getting chunked in bottom lane. Did not see quite how that happened because we were watching the junglers up in top lane. But Nian got poked down really low, so it looks like Balls and Daydreaming of mTw are going to have early lane control right here. And again, even though Janna's a really nice support, the one thing she doesn't have is a heal. So when you take that damage like that, the only way to heal up is to drink those health potions. So again, Ezreal Soraka going to have the early edge. And right now, both junglers are heading top again, so we may see some action here.
Yeah, it does seem that both junglers know exactly what's going on. Holy It's Dawn gonna have to back up here from the Alistar again. Gets the headbutt. Pulverize potentially coming down. Flashes through that, so Summoner Spell has been burned. Nubby Poobear coming up from mid lane as well. This is a 3 versus 2 right here. Nocturne Sphere is going to deter Morgana's advance right there. Dark Shield is not going to be going off in time to stop the actual Fear from going down, but nothing too much coming out from that top lane. And like you said, bottom lane actually showing more aggression, and we didn't expect that down there at all.
Very surprising. The one noteworthy thing there was Holy It's Dawn, the Kale player in top, did have to use his flash right there. Now Alistar's in mid. Let's see if Mandatory Cloud looks like he is going to be able to get out of there. So not a completely wasted gank. At the same time, though, Mandatory Cloud, the Cassiopeia player, did stay mid, did keep farming, actually went and stole the big Wraith again. So that's the second time this game that Mandatory Cloud has stolen that big Wraith. So that's, again, just one of those minor victories, but they do add up over time. That's probably where the 200 gold advantage that mTw has right now. And I mean, yes, that's a paltry advantage, but every little thing does add up in this game over time. And at this level, everybody is just looking to get those little edges that's going to put them ahead of the other team.
It looks like the two junglers are playing kind of tag or something as they are following each other through the jungles and through each other's lanes. So both junglers kind of with the same aggression at the same time. nTw.NA is going to make the first move, though, coming here onto Graves and Janna, getting the Q down, but Alistar from behind the tower is going to get a headbutt down. Graves getting Soraka very low, will finish her off with a buckshot and auto attack, but will pay with his life. First blood, a little bit worth it right there. Ezreal is going to continue his aggression with nTw.NA, though. They're going to wind up picking up a kill on Lemonation's Janna as well. So 2 kills for the price of first blood right there, but we're not done yet. So mTw.NA waiting in the wings, wants the tower dive. Dark Binding does miss. The pool goes off. Alistar is not done. Headbutt pulverize and a flash to get out of tower range. Morgana coming from behind on cleanup duty actually gets both kills with a pool and an auto attack. So lots of aggression in this bot lane like we didn't expect at all. And Sulla, 3 kills and 2 kills all of a sudden in this game.
Wow, that was super aggressive by Orb, the way they played that. Alistar ganking from behind the tower in bottom lane at level 4. We almost never see that. To be ganking behind the tower, I mean, sure, later in the game when you're later level 7 or 8, but at level 4 to be ganking behind the tower, really, really aggressive. Initially, I don't think it would necessarily have been worth it. Even though Orb got first blood, it would have been a 1 for 2. But when Morgana came over, nTw.NA followed it up, also ganking from behind the tower, able to score the double kill. That definitely did make it worthwhile. And now Orb has got a nice little lead for them. And more important even than the gold is just the fact that Morgana has 2 kills. And that is quite a bit of gold going to that AP in mid, which is exactly what they want. And Alistar's still down here in bottom lane, still waiting to see if someone will face check.
Ooh, look, a little bit of a brush gank. Headbutt pulverize into the wall. Arcane Shift on Ezreal is going to make sure that he's A-OK, but still constant aggression on that bottom lane. As you mentioned, netting 2 kills on Morgana, giving her a little bit of an advantage to counteract Cassiopeia's farm lead right now. And Graves, with this continued aggression from Alistar on the bottom lane, is slowly pulling himself close up to Ezreal. They had been pushed all the way to Orb's tower, now defending back on their own. Graves has pretty much evened up the CS score right there, so the gank's doing a lot of work down there in the bottom lane. Both AD carries actually with a kill and a death apiece, but Ezreal still a slight advantage in farm and a slight advantage due to that 1 assist.
Yeah, overall, aside from as exciting as that play was, I feel like bottom lane is still even. That the difference is now that in that middle lane with nTw.NA getting the double kill. But that double kill, even though it helps him out a ton, it almost sort of just pulls him even with Mandatory Cloud, who has not left mid yet this game and has just been farming away. It does have the most CS in the game, does have about to hit 50 any second now, so has been farming up a Storm in mid, but still, again, if you can leave... If you
bot
can
lane in the meantime, we did see... no problem. We saw a little bit of aggression down here. Ball's actually netting a double kill for Daydream, and Daydream went on Soraka getting a little bit aggressive. We saw some exhausted ignites going down. Ball's got extremely low, but as you mentioned, Soraka has a heal. Janna does not, and it actually worked out very well for mTw.NA's bot lane in that engagement.
Yeah, I'm sorry I did not see that one. Was, discussing another point mid, I was going to say it's always worth it to leave middle lane if you can score a double kill off of it, which is what happened there before. Oh, yeah. So yes, Ezreal Soraka coming out ahead, and Soraka actually the higher level as a result of Ezreal dying earlier. So looks like that poke combination's working pretty well, and Balls and Daydreaming going to be ahead now in this bottom lane.
Very interestingly enough, Daydreaming has gone for basically a pretty standard Soraka build. Yesterday during some of the games we saw that Soraka was going for a Star Call heavy first build, which is why I thought there was so much damage coming out from the bot lane. We didn't expect it. Taking a look though, Soraka, 3 levels in Astral Blessing, 1 in every other spell. Just still pretty standard, so not going for that aggressive Soraka build, just going for aggressive positioning and aggressive jungling pattern. So very much so working out for both sides of the team. 3 kills and 4 kills respectively for either side. Yuzuki's going to walk into a bush here and find some poison, and a lot of people from mTw.NA pulls through the ultimate there from Cassiopeia, but is not going to be able to get away from the Nocturne ultimate. So the 3-member roaming gank squad of mTw.NA will pick up a kill there on Vladimir. Pool does go off, but not too much damage being done as they did not take enough damage for that to happen, Sala.
That's an excellent play there. They had 3 there waiting as soon as that blue buff was ready to spawn. Just grabbed it as soon as it spawned, then immediately headed to top lane. Unfortunately, Yuzuki face-checked right into 3 of them. He did a nice job of pulling under Castle. Actually, there's a fight in bot. Let's check that out.
We got actually a lot of aggression going on. They wanted to kick on Graves. Graves was a little overextended. Janna came up to try to save her AD carry and paid with their life for that one. So another kill going to the mTw.NA aggressive bot lane. 2, 1, and 3 right now on Ezreal. 2 kills on Soraka as well, compared to the fact that Graves and Janna only 1 kill between the both of them right there. So mTw.NA, I mean, that Alistar, he was camping the bot lane for a little bit in those brushes, but now that he's gone, it just looks like that Ezreal and Soraka are really taking it to Graves and Janna, just abusing the fact they have a heal and she does not.
Now, the worst thing is if you fall behind a Soraka lane. The thing is, Soraka's not really going to help you get kills because she doesn't really deal damage. She just sustains you, heals you, infuses you. But if you fall behind against the Soraka lane, it is the absolute worst. because the enemy team is going to out damage you, and they're still going to have all that sustain as well. So that is a really, really bad situation to be in. And we'll have to see if Orb is going to send Alistar back to start camping bot, because they're going to need that help right now. Balls is actually starting to deny Neon, just keeping him off the minion line, preventing him from farming, and that's never a situation you want your AD to be in. So let's see, he's actually going for the Essence Flux build. He's maxing Essence Flux first, which is seems to be the popular way to build Ezreal right now. So like we said, they're gonna Orb's gonna need some help in that bottom lane right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, we see Nocturne coming down here. Oh, he's just placing the ward. I was going to say, that's not the jungler that Orbit wants to see in the bottom lane right there. But still, and we see Ezreal just even arcane shifting past the minions, hitting Graves enough so that Graves had to fall back and just denying him experience and denying him farm. In doing so, the tower is wailing away on the enemy minions, so that mTw.NA pushed back to their own tower, but they're able to just freeze the lane right here. Ezreal continuing to farm himself up. 61 CS. Actually, he's a little bit behind Graves, so Graves is still doing a pretty good job trying to keep up in the CS, but naturally those kills are going to put Ezreal ahead in that bottom lane for now, Sala.
That's right. Balls was a little bit behind earlier, in part because there was a big fight while Minion Wave hit his tower. And here comes Alistar, by the way. We see Orb High is in the area as well. And actually, both junglers are in the area, so this may turn into a fight. Keep an eye on this. Actually, it looks like everybody's looking to make a play in the Dragon area, so let's see what happens here.
Little push and shove from Alistar says, get the heck out of here. Nocturne, Cassiopeia coming down to get Nocturne's back right there. So nothing too much is going to happen. A lot of wards in the river over here from mTw.NA. One in the bush here and one closer to Dragon. There's a pink ward in the Tri-Brush over here from Orbit Gaming. Unfortunately, neither ward is going to see each other on the map right now. And both of them pretty much on the same side of the river they started with. Ord does have this cool little line of defense along the river, so they know exactly where Orbit's going to be going if they try to go into ganks in any side of the lane or try to position for that dragon. So as soon as we see Orbit motioning for something, mTw.NA is going to be on top of it. So they're doing a really great job of keeping their lead up by keeping an advantage through vision, because they really don't want Orb coming back into this anyway. It's still a very, very little gold lead right now. Alistar is going to try to come in here for a gank, but Nocturne knows what's up, Cassiopeia knows what's up, and that's just smart warding, Sala.
Alistar was trying to go for that gank mid. What he didn't know is he was walking through a ward. Like, he walked over the ward 3 or 4 times in a row, and so mTw had full knowledge that he was there the whole time, and it didn't turn into anything. I do want to make a brief mention of top. We haven't really talked too much about top lane because nothing's been going on there, and basically the two sides are just farming, and it's pretty even between the two of them. Vlad has his Hextech Revolver. Kale just went back and grabbed the pickaxe, but they're basically just about even. It's 90 to 90 in minion kills, so not much going on up there. Maybe if the junglers head back up there, we'll see some more action, but right now, not a whole lot going on. Looks like Nocturne is waiting in the wings to try to ult mid, but again, he is also standing. He also walked right past a ward, so this ward coverage making it a little bit difficult for the junglers to do anything in middle lane.
And with all this, the kind of quote-unquote failed gank attempts or non-ganks going on, it's going to be interesting to see which team is going to try to get an Oracle's Elixir first. However, mTw.NA thinks they have enough coverage and have enough positioning to take this dragon, and they are going to be proven correct. They take down the first dragon of the game. We'll see him probably around the 18-minute and 45-ish second mark. It looks like Orb's going to be reacting a little bit slowly, trying to catch someone out of position here. But not, unfortunately for them, not really going to find anybody. Morgana, well, looked like she wanted to try to dark binding someone over the wall. There are 3 potential targets. Alistar goes in with a headbutt and pulverize. This is a 3v2, but Morgana does have the ultimate. Cassiopeia does not, whiffing it, not hitting a single target right there. So now a 4 versus 4 versus 3 now as Nocturne is split off for a little bit. High has a shield on, wants to potentially go in on this. There is a tower. There goes the ultimate. Headbutt pulverize. Morgana ultimate intent as well. And then Nintendo is going to pick up a kill right there onto Soraka. Looks like Gray's taking a little bit of damage for his little dive there, but nothing much else going to come of that one. So even though mTw.NA got the dragon, Orb was able to go in there, pick up a kill, going to deny them all this blue buff right here, which could potentially be dangerous for Cassiopeia.
It's always great when you can go in there and steal the blue buff, take it away from the enemy AP mid. So that's a nice play to get that kill too. They were just able to burst on Soraka. All the healing in the world doesn't matter if you just blow up in 1 second there. It was pretty aggressive from Orb. They were taking quite a few tower shots. For mTw, from their perspective, the fact that Mandatory Cloud missed the Cassiopeia ult just meant that they couldn't fight. As soon as that ult was missed, there wasn't really a whole lot they could do. So they just had to back to the safety of their tower and limit the damage basically to just the 1 kill on Soraka and also the loss of their blue buff. So that's not a good, it's not great for mTw, but it could have been a lot worse from their perspective. They did get the dragon, so they're probably pretty happy. They have a slight gold lead. They're ahead by about 2,000 gold. So they're in reasonably good shape, but not ahead by any huge margin.
But we do have Kale up here wandering into a bush where she knew Vladimir was recalling, even though she's extremely, extremely low. Wanted to make sure he did not go back. Nocturne was in the area, but we are going to see him just going off to the side, picking up his red buff, so potentially some aggression in the top lane, but nothing as of yet. We do see Alistar did not donate the blue buff to Morgana. Morgana stole the enemy blue buff, so Alistar is able to go back and pick up his own. So he's going to have a little extra mana to roam around with. Kale in the top lane getting extremely low, but still being able to trade a little bit of damage with Vladimir. This is a bait, though. Like I said, Nocturne waiting in the wings, wants to go in for a gank here. He is. Unfortunately, he doesn't know that Alistar's in the lane as well. Alistar walking between bushes does find a Nocturne right there. Both junglers still with excellent reads on one another, doing basically the same exact plays in the same exact lanes against Sola.
Xmithy is in a little bit of trouble. I guess he's going to be able to run out of there. Xmithy was looking to go in. He really, really wanted to fight that, but as soon as they saw the jungle Alistar, they decided that it was better off not initiating on that one because Kale had enough health to serve as a bait, but not enough to have an actual 2v2 in that particular fight there. And now mid looks like it's getting ganked as well. Looks like Mandatory Cloud's going to be okay, though, as we see the tower also going down in bottom lane. So first tower of the game does go to Orb.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we thought that Ezreal, with his kill advantages in the bottom lane, was really getting the best of Graves down there. But still, something evened out in the lane. Graves able to push a little bit better. Naturally, with his buckshot, he'll be doing a little bit more damage to multiple minions than Ezreal can. Essence Flux, of course, great tool for harassing champions. Can't touch minions with it, so he's not going to have the same pushing power. And we do see Graves pick up in the bottom lane, netting Orbit a tower. That is going to draw the gold a little bit closer still. Only about a 1,500 gold advantage now for mTw.NA. The slightest of advantage at this point in the game. 16 minutes in. Nothing too much has gone down, though. We've seen a lot of aggression potential, but a lot of just counterintuitiveness. Like the junglers keep finding each other when they're going for these ganks, and they kind of fall apart. Middle lane, both junglers kind of want to go in for something. The mid lanes are very heads up about it. Bottom lane here, we're going to see High potentially going in for a gank. Does get silenced by Soraka, though. That's actually interesting, one point that we didn't actually point out. If Alistar is going to be coming to that bottom lane, Soraka popping a quick infuse quickly diffuses his ganks.
That was a very nice. That was a very nice silence right there. That was right when High was looking to initiate. Oh, the Nocturnal coming out in top lane. On to Vlad. That's a bad fear proc. Yazuki running in exactly the direction he doesn't want to go, and that's going to turn into a nice kill for mTw. So well played right there. Xmithy getting the initiation. Holy, it's Don following it up, and then using the Kale shield just to prevent him from taking any more damage. So nicely done.
Yep, very good. Very well orchestrated kill, knowing that Alistar was in the bottom lane. They finally decided to go into the top lane on a 2v1 advantage they wanted to. And like you said, an unfortunate fear proc for Vladimir leads to his death. Ooh, looks like a flash SB is here as Morgana's not coming through the lane from the middle. Kale's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Cassiopeia's going to come in here, but she's going to run into a Graves as well. So now Kale is going to pay for her sins in that top lane and wind up dying to Graves. So Graves netting himself another kill, now 3-2, as mTw.NA kind of pays for that kill they got in Vladimir.
That was one of those, oh no, what's Graves doing here moments where all of a sudden the bottom lane is there. But the price of that we just see now in bottom lane as mTw takes bottom tower, and so that's the cost. Meanwhile, Orb is taking their 3 and pushing mid, and they may be able to grab this middle tower as well. Although their creep wave is dying, they can probably just tank this and finish off the tower because mTw's champions did not have much health or mana. Oh wow, Castle having be burned right here as well. There's the initiation from Alistar, and are they going to be able to finish off this kill? Yes, Alistar will fall, Cassiopeia will fall as well. Morgana ult being popped, Xmithy does get stunned under tower. Looks like he's going to be able to escape out of that, though. No, Graves is still chasing. Graves wants the kill, but the Kale ult is clutch, and now Nian is in all kinds of trouble, and he will fall to balls. So, wow, a little overly aggressive there, Tom.
Yeah, that was just a case of, I want it, I don't care about towers. Oh, wait, they have a Kale. So, oh, actually, Ezreal having the same case of the same thing. You're going to run into a Vladimir. Janna now here. Zephyr is popped. Ezreal already popping the Arcane Shift. He is dead as well. Nubby Pooh Bear picking up a kill there. Now, Kale is going to follow suit. Unfortunately, Soraka and Kale, that is a 3 versus 2 you're walking into, despite Orb being at very low HP right there. So, a couple unorthodox plays, Sola, netting kills that perhaps could not have been kills in a little more tightly performed operation right there, but still, trading basically, well, they traded 2 for 1 in that case, or picked up a Cassiopeia kill at the beginning of that fight as well.
After like 10 minutes of passive farming, all of a sudden we've got this action everywhere. It's very exciting. I think Orb comes out ahead just because they were behind before.
Ooh,
Now we got another fight. Go ahead, Tom.
yeah, we're not done yet. Vladimir's popping an ultimate on top of everybody. Yuzuki's going to go with the pool, try to slow everyone down, but mTw.NA is going to disengage from this properly. Alistar with an Oracle's Elixir, though, is going to start denying vision already. Ezreal ultimate gets Vladimir dangerously low, but he is not going to fall right now. mTw.NA wants to chase, but a nice Dark Bind is going to halt any aggression. Ooh, headbutt pulverize to reinitiate from Alistar. Holy Song getting a heal from Daydreaming in that engagement there. And now just both teams positioning for this Dragon attempt. mTw.NA wants the second one, wants to generate this gold advantage. So what they do have is a freshly set of heal champions, whereas Orbit Gaming, the 3 champions that Ezreal walked into were still at pretty low health or had a decent amount of damage on them. So mTw.NA is going to wind up winning that engagement for Dragon, the second one of the game.
I feel like that was one just because their positioning around Dragon was a little bit better. They had their whole team right around the Dragon pit. I thought both teams actually had about the same amount of damage on them from that last fight. But again, one of the differences is MTW does have Soraka, so they've got those constant heals going on. And again, I think their position was a little bit better. Alistar, let's see, I think that Alistar had used, Alistar's flash was on cooldown, so he couldn't look to get that flash pulverize initiate. And so it looks like Orb just decided that they were better off not fighting that one. So it's about a 3,000 gold lead right now for MTW. A modest lead. It's definitely a lead, but it's not an enormous one by any means. It's certainly one that people can come back from. And we still haven't really seen either team break this game open and sort of take that Baron or win that crushing fight that puts them way ahead. Looks to be still an even game for the moment until one of these teams can seize advantage of it.
Yeah, it seems that both teams, even though they've had a couple tower dive situations or run into a 3 versus 1 head first with an arcane shift situations, they're both still playing rather passively. They don't want to make the mistake that makes the other team snowball to an advantage in this game. And they're both doing, for the most part, a pretty good job at this one. Orb had a couple moments in the beginning stage of the game where they fell behind in kills, especially in that bottom lane, but they are slowly coming back and taking it back. Top lane, though, we're going to see an aggression from Alistar and Morgana coming up into the lane. Those two people don't belong in that top lane, Sulla.
Well, at this point, it's the laning phase is pretty much over at this point, and we're really into just the team, pretty much into the team fighting phase. And we're going to see the counter immediately from MTW as they take middle tower. So trading a kill for a tower, not really sure who comes out ahead. Those middle towers are important, though. And now we're going to see the Oracle game as both teams try to clear out their wards, and we'll see if we have another fight right here around Baron.
Yep, Soraka catching that Dark Binding from Morgana as Nocturne tried to spell shield it, but the ultimate goes up onto Morgana, Black Shield goes up. Is that a Zanya's Hourglass already? I believe it is. But gonna go down there, pick up a kill onto Morgana despite the Zanyas. Now the rest of Orbit Game is coming here. Alistar's ultimate is popped. Xfinity leading the charge, constantly getting those heals from Soraka. He is not going down, but Alistar is. Mandatory Clouds, Poison biting through. Twin Fangs aplenty going down onto Janna. She's going to get the Howling Gale up and go in, get away though. Graves in the meantime will finally take down Nocturne, charging through for all the damage possible. Now it's a little bit of a fight here. Ezreal getting very low, but Mandatory Cloud from behind will pick up the kill on Graves. Now 3 very low members of mTw.NA have to run away from a Vladimir that can heal himself, and that was a very, very nice engagement right there. mTw.NA coming out ahead of that one.
Great fight there. They were able to catch mTw.NA's Morgana and kill him. The funny thing is, Mandatory Cloud's Cassiopeia ult actually did absolutely nothing because it was right into the Zanya's Hourglass by mTw.NA's Morgana, but they still were able to kill Morg right at the start of the fight. Morgana was 402 going into that fight, so Morg was the strongest and most farmed member of Orb, and once they lost Morgana at the start of the fight, it made it very difficult for them to win. Were not able to come out on top of that in that particular fight. Cassiopeia and Ezreal really doing work. They are the 2 strongest members of MTW right now. If you look at the global gold total, they're both right around, both over 8,000. No one else in the game is quite that high. So the 2 of them are the strongest members on their team and in the overall game right now. We see the Trinity Force on Ezreal. He's going for it. Looks like a Bloodthirster next. And meanwhile, Cassiopeia's got that Rylai's and most of an Abyssal Scepter. So they'll be the ones to keep an eye on for MTW.
And like I said, that you mentioned before, the Paralyzing Gaze not doing anything because of the Zanya's Hourglass. I couldn't tell which one was doing what, but eventually Morgana died, so that was pretty much it there for MTW.
She got engaged upon by 4 members of MTW,
yeah.
So she got bursted down immediately. It was a nice use of Zanya's. It's just, it's not going to save you if there's 4 people on top of you.
Yeah, unfortunately, the item does not have a get out of here safe card button on it. It just has I'm going to stay here and hope my team can catch up. And unfortunately, the engagement happened a little bit too late to save Morgana on that one. So MTW.NA enjoying a little bit of a comfortable lead. They traded that kill on top for the tower in mid lane, so they have a little bit of map presence established. Like you said, the Oracle's Elixir War is going on. Actually, netting a kill on Alistar that fight means the Oracle's Elixir is currently down for Orbit Gaming, so this is going to be time for mTw.NA to establish their map presence, to really try to force Orbit into a position they do not want to be in, and this Baron area is a perfect spot for that, Sulla.
mTw is baiting this Baron fight right there. They've cleared out the vision, just as you said. That's a key point, Tom, that Orb does not have the Oracle, and now they're going to try to see if they can do this Baron before Orb gets up there, and I think they're going to be able to take it. This is going down really fast, and it is indeed going to go down. Now let's see if there's another team fight.
Yeah, the Cassiopeia poison is devastating. Nocturne going all the way in on the Vladimir and Janna, but now Alistar playing zone defense. Graves is going to take down Nocturne because he's all by himself. Mandatory Glide gets headbutted into the fight. There's a brilliant Zonda's Hourglass from Morgana to actually pick up a kill on Cassiopeia. So mTw got the Baron, but they have to turn tail and run right now because Orb is actually stronger in their positioning, and that's going to net them potentially another kill here on Ezreal, but Ezreal will actually trade with Graves, so very nice job of taking one down with him in that engagement. But still, that is a 3-for-1 in favor of Orb. They did not get the Baron, but now they've denied 3 members of mTw.NA from getting it, and this could potentially be a tower and then another one, Sulla. That was good positioning from Orb.
This could turn into an inhib. We'll see how far they get it. It looks like they have a decent chance of getting it, even just tanking the tower, as we see the Janna ult coming out just for the heal. Something you don't see too often, but it is useful on pushes like this. Looks like Holy It's Dawn's Kale is going to come and push this back. But that, I mean, it's just amazing how that fight backfired. You think that mTw's grab Baron, they're going to seize control of this match, and then just a terrible team fight. In that particular fight, Alistar got the initiation, managed to hit, I think, 4 members of mTw with his Pulverize. Then Morgana ran into the middle of the team. You popped her ult, used Hourglass, diving a little. The other thing that happened was Xmithy, the Nocturne player, diving way too deep. He dove right into 4 members of mTw, 4 members of Orb. He was instantly blown up. And then, if you noticed, mTw split really badly at the tail end of that team fight. Kayle and Soraka ran to the left, Ezreal ran to the right. And at that point, there wasn't much they could do. But a really nice use of that AoE damage we talked about earlier on Orb's part. So they're back in the game. They're right back in this one.
Yeah, and despite losing the Baron attempt, despite the global gold being gained from mTw.NA, picking up a tower, picking up a dragon, and bringing it within 3,000 or less gold right now. So mTw.NA had a larger lead in gold before they went into the Baron fight there, so now actually losing it ever so slightly. However, if we take a look at the champions that do still have Baron buff, Kayle is one of them, and she is not someone that should be messed with. Has an Infinity Edge and a Zeal. She's slowly approaching that carry status. Soraka is the other one, though. Soraka's not going to be very scary. She does have the Shurelya's Reverie, though, which is going to help with engaging and disengaging. However, on the opposite side, Alistar has one for his team as well, so pretty much going to be up to par with the engages and disengages in this one. Although it is going to give Alistar a little bit of a boost for his headbutt Pulverize initiation.
You mentioned how Kayle starting to get farmed up. That's a good point. Holy It's Dawn has been a little bit under-farmed for a lot of this match. He's finally, as you said, getting into that status where he starts to put out very significant amounts of damage now that he's got the Infinity Edge and the Zeal. Ezreal's also finished his Bloodthirster as well. On the other team, though, Nian, the Graves player, actually has Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer, so he is actually ahead of Ezreal right now. Oh, no, never mind. That's not true. Ezreal has his Trinity Force. So they're about even right now in terms of how much gold they have. And Morgana has also finished her Abyssal Scepter, so some pretty big items coming out. We also do have an Aegis of the Legion on Orb. It doesn't look like we have one yet for mTw.
None yet. Actually, initiation from Nocturne. He's going to be diving onto, looks like Morgana on this one, but she does have the Dark Shield up. Once again, Xfinity going into a little bit too far in this one. Vladimir Ultra on the rest of mTw.NA is going to make them cautious. Mandatory Cloud will go in to pick up a kill on Alistar, though. Key point, Nocturne has not died yet. He is still in this fight. There goes the Morgana ultimate. Is it going to go off? It actually does pick up a kill onto Morgana. Zhonya's Hourglass in the smoke screen as Vladimir is able to finish off Nocturne finally. Kayle will pick up a kill on Morgana when she comes out of that Zhonya's Hourglass, though. So we're 2-for-2 trades so far. Both range carries extremely low. It looks like everyone else is going to pack up and retreat from this one, Sulla.
2 for 2, even exchange. I thought initially that Orb was in trouble. I thought they used a little bit too much trying to kill Soraka and didn't get the kill, but they're able to rebound. They're able to get those AoE ults together and get a whole lot of damage on everybody on mTw, and it turned out being pretty much even, really. Basically even exchange. Let's see if see if mTw is able to get this tower. They're going after Graves, and he is actually going to fall to that Ezreal damage. Ezreal and Kale just outputting so much damage, and mTw is going to get the tower as well. So it looks like in the end, they're actually going to come out ahead in this team fight.
Yep, not finished up yet. They take down that tower. They take down Graves. Want to take down Alistar's ultimate is pot. Vladimir rejoining the fray right now. It's going to be a little bit scary for the remaining members of mTw.NA. They are fighting on enemy turf, which means that as soon as these champions respawn, they will be immediately back in the fight. So they do back off right there. Like you mentioned, Kale and Ezreal doing surprising amounts of damage at that point in time, taking down Graves and then immediately taking down the tower. Kale with some nice kiting is going to take down the red buff as well. Looks like Vladimir tried to do something with his Tides of Blood there, was unable to get it. He's just keeping his stacks up for now. But still, very nice play there from mTw.NA. Lots of damage that I guess Graves did not expect.
No, I felt like Graves was just surprised by how much damage Kale was putting out more than anything. Just was kind of surprised at how much burst there was there once Kale pops her Righteous Fury and just started auto-attacking. And in the end, just wasn't able to get out of there. It looked like, I think that Nien thought that mTw was just going to hit the tower, and instead they all turned and focused him, and he just blew up in about 2 seconds there. So picking up another kill in that tower, it's, what, about a 4,500 gold lead right now. And it looks like that Baron's worn off, but it'll be respawning relatively soon. So we will see if mTw keeps pushing, and they may have caught out actually 2 members of Orb here.
Yeah, it looks like Lemonation Navi Puvia has to be very, very careful. Smithy does cut them off from the other side, but mTw.NA does not want to continue on this one. Interestingly enough, falling back by the bushes by Baron. Baron, like you mentioned, will be up in a couple minutes, but not anytime soon. The Baron buff is recently expired. So mTw.NA, they took Baron last time. If they learned from anything, though, they're going to have to do it a lot smarter with the after engagement. Now, Ezreal, though, wanting to take down that Janna, getting very, very low, has to pop a flash in addition to Arcane Strip, but Alistar gets the initiate, headbutt pulverize. There's a Cassiopeia ultimate. There's actually a Morgana ultimate as well in the middle of everyone. Does not tag anybody, though. Nocturne managing to split up Graves and Vladimir from the rest of the fight. That lets Ezreal take down Alistar. He can't tank forever. There's a Zani's Hourglass pop right now. Actually, Morgana still taking a lot of damage. Cassiopeia, in the meantime, will chase down Graves as he goes all the way around here and is baited into that one. Kale picking up another kill there on Morgana, and Cassiopeia finishing off Vladimir. So mTw.NA coming out super strong in that one. Just really good kiting and positioning. The Nocturne ultimate disrupts everything in the middle of Orb's own engagement, and they get a 4-for-0 in that one, Sola.
Wow, 4-for-0. That might be the fight that breaks this game open in favor of mTw. Some nice plays there on both teams. On terms of the initiation, we saw the flash from Alistar, then the Shurelya's headbutt pulverize. It was a decent initiation, but as you mentioned, the Morgana ult didn't really hit that many people. Was sort of the problem right there. And there was actually a really nice kill ult on Balls, the Ezreal player, as well, that kept him safe in the middle of that fight, allowed him to just disengage and continue kiting. And from there, it was just the Ezreal and Kale show. They're just kiting the whole time. There was also a 1v1 between Cassiopeia and Graves that Cass won. Cass hit the ult on Graves that time. We've seen a lot of whiffed Cassiopeia ults, but Mandatory Cloud hit that one. He ulted, hit Nien, the Graves player, successfully. And once he had that, what is it, like it's either a 2 or 3 second stun. It is a 2-second stun with two free seconds to just hit the Twin Fangs. That was enough to burst down Graves. So combination of all that turns into the 4-for-0.
Uh-oh, they got to be careful here. They are going to take down Baron. High's getting taken down instantly, though. Ezreal picking up a kill on Alistar. There's not even enough time to pop his ultimate in time. So there's actually a very good engagement. I thought mTw.NA was a little bit low. Nocturne is getting low and will be taken down by Vladimir now. Zani's Hourglass goes off. Kale ultimate on the Mandatory Cloud. He will not fall. Ezreal, though, getting blown up, but he will trade his life for Graves right there. Morgana does finally finish off the Ezreal. So what is that, a 2-for-2 engagement in that one, plus a Baron buff. mTw.NA went immediately from that middle inhibitor, went back up to Baron, and they didn't know the ward was in that bush until Soraka caught up with them, so they didn't know that Orb was already on their heels. But still, I think trading 2-for-2 and keeping the Baron this time went a lot better than their last attempt, Sulla.
Much better than the last attempt. That's a clear win for mTw, 2-for-2 and Baron. That was really risky, though. If Alistar was right there, he could have gotten the smite steal. If Orb ends up smiting Baron and taking that, they could very easily then turn around and crush that team fight. With mTw having so much damage from their last push and doing Baron, that could have turned into a Baron steal and like a 4-0 ace really, really easily. So a gutsy play. It did work out for mTw, so now they are way ahead. The advantage very much on their side, but it was a very risky play there. and that could have turned into disaster very, very easily in that last fight that we just saw.
Yeah, so very lucky positioning there by mTw.NA. Does let them get away with that Baron. In addition to this, they take a Dragon. I was actually looking at Soraka's build while we were discussing what happened over there. Picking up a Zeke's Herald for the fact that she basically has 2 range carries and a Nocturne on her team. Nocturne, including this, has a Wit's End, so they're going to be attacking at the speed of light, Solo. And that is where a lot of this extra DPS is coming in from. A lot of people discount the Zeke's Herald because they think, oh, a little bit of extra cooldown reduction, a little bit of extra attack speed, and some lifesteal. It's not too grave an item. But when you have 3 champions that are going to be dealing melee combat damage, or at least physical combat damage, it is going to be a huge boost to them. And surprisingly enough, I think that might be what is actually making Balls and Holy It's Dawn deal a decent chunk of their damage.
It's a great item choice for this particular team comp. Like you said, 3 auto attackers. If you have 3 auto attackers, it becomes a great item. So when you have these teams with the Kayle in top lane, really becomes worthwhile, as we see mTw trying to set up to steal this red right now, which it looks like they're going to grab. There it is, onto Ezreal. Great item choice. It also maxes CDR on Soraka, and cooldown reduction extremely important for Soraka.
Ooh, Gray's going to get caught out of position here, wanting to go in that red buff. Nocturne ultimate goes down. He is going to live through everything, though. Alistar has to pop the ultimate. They're fighting in a smoke screen, a little unorthodox. Janna popping the ultimate, more so for heals than to push anybody off, as there is a tower warding it away anyway. So just a little bit of aggression right here that is going to force Orb off this tower. It's mTw.NA is going to be able to take this one down and potentially continue a push in towards Orbit's base right here, Sola.
Yeah, well, Graves is back healing. Graves has to heal at Fountain, so they've got about 7 or 8 seconds here to get in as much damage on the tower as possible, and that might be all they need to get this turret.
Yep, there it goes. Tower goes down. Inhibitor is exposed. Potentially a fight going on here, but Orbit is going to smartly disengage in this one. Kayle wants to go in there, slowing down Janna, but nothing is going to come of that one. Now just wailing away on the Inhibitor. Below half-life already. Look at the poke coming out from Cassiopeia, Nocturne, and Ezreal, just really pushing Orbit back off of this Inhibitor. Inhibitor is going to go down, so now they have 2 waves that are potentially going to be pushing into Orb Gaming's base right now. Smartly going to pop the Shurelya's and disengage over to the top lane, the last remaining tower on the outskirts of the map for Orbit Gaming. So mTw.NA, after that good Baron engagement, after that good teamfight engagement and everything, 58.7k gold to 49.1, even increasing that more at the tower kill, in complete control of the game right now, Sola.
Yeah, they're just, mTw's just snowballing it out of the game, and Orb's going to have to fight for this tower, or they're just going to continue to get snowballed out. mTw can be very slow in pushing this. They don't have to rush. They know the minions are going to push in for the other lanes. And one other thing I'll just mention while we have a second here, we've seen mTw having these long pushes that go on and on. They're able to sustain them because they have Soraka on their team. That makes a really big difference in these long pushes. You can keep getting those heals and keep getting that mana back. And again, they don't need to rush this. They can take their time. Those other lanes are going to push into the base.
Ooh, there you get the Dark and Binding engagement. Kayle's going to pop the ultimate on the Cassiopeia. Morgana ultimate in Zani's Hourglass only tags an invulnerable Cassiopeia, and Kayle will turn around and pick up a kill on an exposed Morgana. Gray's actually picking up a kill on Nocturne as he separated himself from the rest of the team this time. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. Orb is trying to fight for their life here. Kayle and Ezreal getting kind of low. Daydreaming on Soraka also very low. Cassiopeia tries to burst down. Gray is dealing a decent amount of damage with the Jonas Shield will keep him alive. Now Vladimir's in danger of falling down. He has to pull out of the way. Lots of damage coming out from both of these range carries in Kayle and Ezreal. Ezreal going to take some tower shots and deal some damage in return, but like you said, other lanes slowly pushing. Mid inhibitor has respawned. mTw.NA is going to try to rotate over here. Orbit's going to try to defend as much as they can. Inhibitors below half health. They're going to switch targets on the Graves. Alistar with a nice headbutt pulverize there. Graves will go down though. Kayle is not dead yet. Ezreal fighting for his life eventually will fall as Vladimir comes in with John to pick up the last kill on, or last hit for the kill on him. Now Cassiopeia is in a little bit of trouble. Kayle though still a pretty high HP. Could potentially still turn this fight around. There's a Shurelya's pop though by Soraka. That is the signal to disengage, and that very long push and prolonged fight from mTw.NA is finally halted, and Orbit is actually still able to save this mid inhibitor.
Orbit is hanging in there right now. They needed to hold that tower. They did. They've got the middle inhib back up again. So with only the one inhib down, they still have a shot in this game. They can't afford to let that second one go down in mid. If they lose that, they're going to be confined to their base. They definitely can't let the third one go down. When you lose the third inhib, it's basically game over because the enemy team can just follow the super minions in. But they got exactly the fight that they needed to right there. They all got the initiation off of that Morgana binding. They just landed the one binding. and then followed everything up from there. And that fight went on a very long time between both teams without anyone dropping. But they got a good result. They held the tower. They got that inhib to respawn in mid, and so they're going to be able to make a play for the next Baron fight. They probably need to take the next Baron that spawns, which is going to be difficult, but at least they still have a shot. I mean, they're down 9,000 gold. Let's be clear, they're not in good position, but they'll have a shot at least to fight for this Baron. And again, if they can catch someone on MTW out of position, they still have a shot at getting this, and they still have a chance of winning this match. So we'll see if they can pull off some kind of awesome play here to stick in this game and shift things around. If they can ace the other team 5-1 or 5-0, they can push and just end the game off of one successful team fight. So it's not completely over yet, even if it's still a major task to do for Orb Gaming.
And the thing is, it's not like mTw.NA hasn't overextended this game already on a Baron buff attempt. So Orbit knows this, and they are sticking very, very close into this game, hanging on as close as they can. Like you said, 9,000 gold advantage. It's not the smallest gold advantage to try to close in the world, but still, if they get into a good positioning, they can potentially take down mTw. Baron's going down really fast, so there's a Nocturne ultimate for the vision and everything. Blue team's going to come in and steal the Baron buff, though. This is what they want. Holy It's needs to put the ultimate on himself. Mandatory Cloud's out of the Baron pit, though, dealing all the damage well, but Morgana will kill Soraka. Vladimir takes up a triple kill there, melting down Cassiopeia, Nocturne, and Kale. Sulla, that's exactly what Orb wanted to happen.
I can't believe it. We just saw there. They got the Baron steal. They got all of their AoE damage stacked together. Morgana, Vlad, just all that AoE damage. They're going to have Morgana defend the base so Ezreal doesn't just push in and end the game. But it looks like Orb should be able to get it, probably that middle inhib with no trouble off this. And meanwhile, we might have some 1v1 action between Morgana and Ezreal down here. Oh no, Ezreal's going for the inhib mid. Let's see if Morgana can defend this.
I don't know. Ezreal does have a lot of auto attack damage here. Morgana's not going to be able to defend the inhibitor, although she can defend Ezreal from potentially taking down the entire base right here. Dodging that Dark Binding, actually popping the Quicksilver Sash as well. He thought he got hit, but he actually dodged that one. He is going to potentially go for this top tower. I don't even know what he's doing. He's kind of dancing around in the base right now. They're going to trade mid lanes though, so both mid lanes will be equalized with super minions here. Ezreal continuing. There's pings going all over the place. It looks like they wanted to get out of there as Orb Gaming is actually going to fall back into this one, but he wants to get that tower, although he's going to wise up and fall back there. So, whew, Orbit Gaming, as you said, not out of this one yet, closing the gold gap by about 4,000 gold. They are now a little bit below 5,000 gold behind mTw.NA. They have Baron buff. They have a very strong team positioning right now, even though their inhibitors are down in their base, trading one in the mid lane as well. Bottom one has respawned. Gray's able to just kind of secure that one and make sure it's going to stay that way. Balls is stuck between the rest of the team, though. He is eventually going to go down here. Nocturne ultimate coming in from the side to Xfinity, trying to save him. Kale ultimate goes off. Navi Pooh Bear will pick up a kill on Ezreal, though. Xfinity now getting extremely low. Holy It's Dawn trying to deal as much damage as he can, but it's not going to be enough through that Alistar ultimate. Gray's coming up from that bot lane on the defense, now going on offense to pick up a kill on Nocturne. And I don't know, Sulla, mTw.NA kind of letting this one slip through their hands at the moment.
Oh, they're MTW trying so hard to save Ezreal, and they ended up losing Ezreal and Nocturne, and now they're in a lot of trouble because with this late in the game, it's very easy to push towers, and Kale has been prevented from being, they were trying to prevent Kale from blue pilling back to base right now. So if, or maybe able to just push straight up mid and just tank those double towers and just end this one. It looks like what they're going for right now, so we'll see if they can finish this off, but they're going to risk a counterplay if they do this. This is actually quite dangerous for them to do this, but I mean, they've got the super minions. They might be able to finish this one off. Let's see if they can do it.
I know we're going to have to see Ezreal and Nocturne still down for about 15 seconds. Alistar ultimate goes off. It looks like they want to go and engage. They're actually pushing him off the tower. Cassiopeia is getting blown up. She does have a Guardian Angel, though. Kale going to take down Janna in the meantime. Alistar is getting very, very low. Cassiopeia's Guardian Angel Prost, and she's going to be able to get away. Double kill for Kale. Ezreal has respawned. Ultimate goes down the middle, dealing a decent amount of damage to Grace. Now Morgana's in a lot of trouble. Look at the DPS on Kale, finally getting into that endgame build and all the damage in the world. So now Orb Gaming might have extended a little too far there, Sulla, and now mTw.NA is
It's just what we said. If they can break the double turrets at the Nexus, they win the game. But if they don't, now everybody for MTW is up. They have all 5 up. Graves is going to try to backdoor and see if he can win the game. But it's going to be very difficult for Orb to stop the 5-man push here from MTW. They're going to go straight up mid. Looks like Kale's going to go back. So this is going to turn into a base race here at the very last minute. And let's see which one of them can actually win this thing.
Graves
is getting a lot of damage. Yes, go ahead.
He's not going to be able to take down that tower, so it looks like mTw.NA is going to go with the 4 members of the base down on the Vladimir. Vladimir, you don't want to be there. As valiant as an effort that was, Cassiopeia will take you down. That tower is going to fall. Gray's being chased out by Kale. Kale's going to wind up picking up a kill here, gets the slowdown and the ultimate. There's a kill on Graves, there's a kill on the Nexus, and mTw.NA, after going back and forth, coming back and forth, takes down the enemy Nexus in a very, very awesome game number 1, Sulla.
That I can only hope that we have as good of a game number 2 and game number 3 if we have it. That was amazing. First mTw had it won, and then Orbit had it won, and then mTw had it won. I can't even imagine what we're going to see in the next game, but stick with us, folks. That was incredible.
That was a very, very amazing game. So that was actually a pretty long game too, almost about a 45-minute game. So taking a quick look at the end game item build, Graves was very, very beefy, actually getting an Executioner's Calling to try to counteract some of those Soraka heals on top of the Kale heals. Also, the one point of that item is that is the only lifesteal item that hasn't been nerfed yet. So 18% lifesteal still. Pretty decent item. Not too weird to see that being picked up on Graves with the Soraka and the Kale on the team. Unfortunately, Ezreal has Eternity Force, a Bloodthirster, a Last Whisper, a BF Sword on top of his own Quicksilver Sash, was dealing a lot of damage in and of himself. And that Stark's River, or Zeke's Herald now, very, very good pickup for mTw.NA. Helped catapult them through some of those awkward team engagements and really let them win that base kind of race situation. Very, very exciting stuff, Saul, and I can't wait to get game number 2 underway.
No, me either. And just a real quick thing since you brought it up, that Executioner's Calling, the reason why you buy that is you've got the Vamp Scepter for lifesteal, and you don't have enough gold to buy the Bloodthirster, so you buy the next best item with lifesteal, and that's Executioner's Calling. I've seen some people do that myself. But, I mean, again, an incredible game. Really exciting back and forth. Let's see if we can get as good of a match for game number 2.
Yes, indeed, guys. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Get game number 2 between mTw.NA. Can they take the Series 2-0 over Orbit Gaming, or is Orbit Gaming going to bounce back and be as impressive as they have been these past couple of tournaments? You couldn't count them out of that game. I wouldn't count them out of game number 2 either, ladies and gentlemen. So short commercial break, and we'll be back game number 2 right after this, guys.